So the reality is that in the world of our today, music, popular music, commercial music, has become hyper commodified. In other words, the music that gets promoted to the hit parade, so to speak, is the music that makes the most money. And when you do that, rather than having the people that control the music business be people who really love the music and see it not necessarily just as a moneymaker, but as a vehicle for expressing the conscience and the souls and the aspirations of the populace, it becomes a different thing. Now, when I was in the 60s with Paul and Mary, the people who ran the record companies were all about finding a new Bob Dylan. A new Bob Dylan today wouldn't do too well on American Idol, you know? They're not about creating something that inspires the world. I mean, if it's fortunate enough to be, you know, money-making, but they're basically accountants, or people have called them pejoratively bean counters. So the field of folk music itself, or the kind of music that we'll be singing here together, the chorus and I and John Yankee, it's very alive and well, but it's not in front of the public in a major way, so that at a certain point you would listen to the radio and you'd say, oh my goodness, I heard Blowing in the Wind 3 times today, and I heard If I Had a Hammer, and I heard Joan Baez sing There But For Fortune, and Bob Dylan, Only a Pawn in the Game, and I heard Judy Collins sing. No, it's gone in that sense. It's still there and important, but the absence of this music in our lives has made a profound difference, because this music is sung in the arenas of social change. And when you hear that music sung in that context, it binds people together in common purpose, whether it's the civil rights movement then, or the anti-fracking, or the climate movement now, or Black Lives Matter. And I'm still singing these in these other contexts. Today I was at Occupy Wall Street, and people were singing it, and I'm with my daughter, who's a big anti-fractivist organizer, and in the context of, I was up in Harlem for a Black Lives Matter effort. This stuff still resonates very powerfully. But I do believe that willy-nilly, there will be a way for it to come once again out strongly, that people will hear it and embrace it again, because you can confound the business interest through the net. The net can produce attention to something that's important, the internet, that's embraced and known, and it hasn't hit its stride yet. But when it does, and it begins to reflect the real needs of the people, not the needs of the people who want to make money, but the needs of the people that need sustenance for their hearts and souls, then you will hear folk music and similar music of sincerity that's not written for the bucks, but written because somebody has something to say that's important, personally, or yes, it can be about love, but it can be about their struggles, their work, their aspirations. So that is going to be happening soon. And in the background, while I'm talking to you, you're hearing the sound, if you listen, of John Yankee's chorus. That's so wonderful. And I'm going to be singing with them. And in these little, down by the riverside, my sword and shield, down by the riverside.
Have you sung at the Cape before?
I've sung many times on the Cape, but never in Falmouth. But the people there used to sing, and there are various places. I can't remember the names. There was an in the round place, the Melody Tent, and yes. But this is, I know Falmouth a little bit because this is where I would get on a little boat and go across the North Shore, which is an island right across. That's part of the Forbes family. John Kerry and I were great friends for a long time. Still are.
How did you meet John Yankee?
John Yankee and I met in Telluride, Colorado, where he was doing very much what he's doing here. But here it's another population. It's larger, but there it's a much younger group. But I think that he does amazing work. I mean, he's so versatile an artist, and he's so heartfelt. He's really doing something really quite wonderful, and so it's a great delight and honor for me to come and join you here on the Cape.
It's an honor for everyone to hear you.
Thank you so much.
I also wanted to know if you're still singing with Bethany and Rufus.
I sing with Bethany, my daughter, and her musical and life partner, Rufus Cappadocia. She's an amazing activist and sings extraordinarily. And sometimes I sing with my son, who plays washtub bass. Sometimes we all sing together. Yes, it's a great joy to sing with one's children.
I'm a cellist, is what I'm interested in.
Oh, really? You're a cellist? Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, and your daughter's voice is beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, very expressive and very powerful. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to hear a little bit about the organization that you founded.
Operation Respect. Operation Respect, which was, well, it was founded really, it was inspired by a song called Don't Laugh at Me. And that song resonated with me, so I said, oh, this song, don't laugh at me, don't call me names, don't get your pleasure from my pain. In God's eyes, we're all the same. Someday we'll all have perfect wings. Don't laugh at me. This song, I knew was going to be the anthem, a very important movement to nurture the caring and the heart and the social and emotional skills of young people. And my mother was an educator, and so I created with Educators for Social Responsibility a curriculum for Operation Respect, and then we started disseminating it, and now we're in many thousands of schools, perhaps 22,000 schools in America, and it's a curriculum that creates an environment of caring, of compassion, of unanimity of spirit. And when you have that, you have less bullying, and you have a strength of integrity and moral strength. And we're also in many other countries. We're in 63% of the schools in Israel, and we're also in Jordan and Palestine, Croatia, Ukraine, Japan, Hong Kong. It's all over the world. And what it is basically a perspective that says what I believe, that if we want the mean-spiritedness to end, that is so profound, we need to educate the kids with an option so that they don't adopt the cultural disintegration of heart, the black hole of empathy that has appeared in our culture, on television, in the debates, in the primary, and it's everywhere. But if we want to change it, we're not going to change the adults very easily, but we can change the possibilities that children see are in their control to say, no, I want to have this kind of animosity in my life, or no, I want to value what's intrinsic in me rather than value myself for my material things and money and power not necessarily in a loving sense, but in a kind of punitive sense. So it's really another way to build peace and build a caring world in the future. And I'm stepping down from the CEO position because I'm 77 now. I need to. It's a succession plan. I have to hand it over to other people.
And you have a new song.
I just wrote a song called "The Children Are Listening," and I'll be doing it with the chorus.
And it's on the same thing.
And it's you know, you've heard parents say to each other when they start fighting, "Don't stop. The children are listening." You don't want them to be traumatized by it, and you don't want them to emulate you when you're not pursuing your better angels. So
does it also relate to this political season?
it very much emerged from the political scene. John Yankee, who's a member of Congress, made a very powerful speech in the House of Representatives. And he started talking about the effects of bullying, and then he spoke about how bullying and this kind of behavior can lead to violence and suicide. And then he said, and what are the children listening to now? They turn on the TV set, and then he quoted some of the terrible things that were said in the Republican primary. But he didn't label it as Republican or Democrat. But the point is that he said, you know, is this what we've come to? Is this, what's the message? You know, that it's all right to abuse people? And you know, throughout the country, we have kids who are Mexican are saying, they're telling me, you've got to go home, get behind a wall, we're building a wall. Or if they're Muslim, you don't belong here, you're the enemy. You know, it has immediate impact. It's very traumatic for the kids to hear this.
Let's say something positive about music to end with.
Well, when you address what's wrong and you do something about it rather than stand back as an observer and say, what can I do? I'm just one person. When you show up in Madison, Wisconsin, when they were depriving workers of, you know, the right of collective bargaining, which was the main mechanism whereby the middle class was built in this country. When they've got an anti-fracking rally, when they've got people, and over 1,000 people recently getting arrested in Washington, D.C., when you have a Black Lives Matter move, if you're doing something, you're not wringing your hands and saying, oh, it's terrible. You are part of what is asserting that there is an opportunity to do something better. So if you're looking at it and saying, oh, it's terrible, you know, you don't want to think it's terrible, you think it's an opportunity to really change things, go and get involved and do it. Because being a passive observer is like being an observer of a situation in which somebody's getting injured and not doing something about it. There are multitudinous ways to show up. But we of a certain age have to realize that we must continue to do this. We who have done this for many years, we are not irrelevant, we are not deprived of power. We can do it. Why am I so enthusiastic now? Because I have an opportunity to be on the right side of things. So, you can do it in many ways. Wherever you do it, you're working for peace.
Well, your music has been a very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Getting the word.
Thank you.
Very powerful force.
Thank you. I appreciate that.